Okay, hello everyone. So today we're going to go over drawing, shading, and putting it all together. Ooh, it's a bit noisy out here today. Okay, so what I need you to do is for this, you're going to need a piece of paper, okay, pencil. You're going to need a couple of objects. For now, I kind of grabbed a couple of things, simple items that we can draw. For your project, you are going to be doing a still life, which I will talk about in a little bit, okay? But for now, we're gonna kind of set up our paper for what you're gonna do for your practice, okay? Now, for your paper, what I want you to do is I want you to kind of go down about 2/3, okay? And put a line. All right, now, if you need to go get a measuring, something to measure with or a ruler, that's fine. But honestly, just eyeballing is absolutely fine to me, okay? So at the top, we're gonna have observational, drawing, okay? Let's see. Observational drawing is this whole idea that you're looking at something and you're drawing it from real life, okay? Now, what is the difference between drawing for something that's in your hand and that's looking at a paper or a picture of it, or even on the screen? So here's the deal. When you have something in your hands, okay, a lot of times people get worried that things, they can't draw because it goes back in space. But when we look on a paper, it makes it a little bit easier because all of a sudden everything just becomes lines and becomes almost flat. Well, that's what the trick is when we're drawing objects, okay? Now, right now I have simple objects, but I do have a couple of them that are a little bit more challenging, okay? And I'm gonna kind of explain those, all right? So we're gonna kind of go through and we're gonna kind of draw a couple of things, and I'm gonna give you some pointers, and then we're gonna go into talking about shading and gradation and stuff like that, okay? So our first thing that we're gonna talk about is how should we draw? So my tip to you is draw it light until you get it right, okay? So for example, let's say a circle, okay? So everyone copy me on this one, all right? So most people will start at the top and then go around. I tend to start on the bottom and we'll go around a couple times until I got it right, okay? So you're gonna kind of draw it nice and light, and when you're done, then you can be like, you know what? Now I'm gonna go the opposite way and have a nice solid line, okay? Because I've done it a couple times, I've done it lightly. And then once I'm confident of that, circle, we can go with that, all right? Other objects. So let's look at this dice. Now, fortunately, I could not find a regular block in my house, okay? Because obviously I'm doing these from home. Go figure, right? So I came up with this. Now, as we can kind of see, now I'm gonna hold this up to the camera, all right? We can see that we have lines that come in. Actually, let's see if this dice would be even better. Oh, yes, that dice would be very nice. Fortunately, my dice don't have the points, but it's okay, all right? So we can imagine that we have lines, okay, that come back and forth and all over. So let's draw exactly what we see, all right? So this is one of those times where all I want you to do is if you see a line, you put exactly where it is, okay? If it goes off to the left and upwards, that's how I want you to draw it too, okay? No worries about if it looks weird or not. So let's try this out, okay? So I see this line, so let's draw that straight line. Okay. I see an angled line going up and to the left. Well, I'm gonna put a line up and to the left. I see this line's going up and to the left. Okay. I see that this is connected. This side matches this side. Perfect. Let's go on the other side. I see, although my hand's in the way, let's move that over. This is going up into the, this is going to the right. That's going to the left. Oh, well. All right, so this is going to the left. Up and to the left. All right. I see it's connected. Perfect. Now, something to consider, okay, ladies and gentlemen, looking at your points, all right? So I see that this point, when I go back, all right, is kind of a little bit different. So almost like the point is going to be here. Actually, I want to adjust this. It's always good to have a pencil with a good eraser, right? All right. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happens when you're recording and you're trying to notice everything. Okay. So we have that, okay? I noticed that the one point was over to the side. So I see this point come over, move over a little bit. All right. Now, why did I move that over? Okay. So when we're looking at things, all right, you want to notice every little detail, okay? If it looks like it's in the same line, you put it in the same line. If it looks like it's kind of like close together, like right now, I know these are far. Like when I look at it flat, whoop, looks kind of wild. But when I kind of tilt it, see how it looks very small? Well, I know it's fat. Don't draw what you think you see. Draw what you really see, okay? If it's small, you make it small. If you see a wide side, you make it wide. Now, a lot of people are probably saying, well, I'll draw it, but it looks awful. It's okay, because we're not done yet. All right, so what I want you to do is, for now, I want you to kind of like pause the video, okay? And I want you to go grab 2 more shapes, okay? Let's any kind of shape. I'm gonna grab, because I have close to me scissors and a little cup, okay? And I want you to just take a moment and I want you to draw those items, okay? Now, obviously, I can't, like pop over your shoulder and say, hey, that's a great job, keep going, or, oh, can you take this line, can you move that around? I'm gonna have you kind of do a self-check, okay? How can you self-check? All right, if you've got a camera, okay, or you got your phone, do me a favor, take a picture, okay? When you take that picture, you can see all the lines, okay? But that's only if you need a self-check. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this. Now, the point of view that you guys have and what I have is a little different, so I'm gonna tilt it so I can actually see it. I'm gonna put mine up on the ledge. All right, actually I'm gonna put it right here. So where is this in relationship to where I am? All right, so you guys can see. I'm gonna make it a little bit wobbly, sorry. Oh. Moving the camera, careful. Okay, you see how I have this little ledge, okay? So I put my cup right there. Now, to me, I'm kind of almost in line with that, okay? So that's what I'm gonna be drawing. I see in my point of view, okay, this oval. I see in my point of view, not your point of view, not looking from above, not anything else, okay? I see that this is curved. I'm looking at the curve. I'm looking at it coming down and down. I see the bottom is curved, so I put in curves. I see a lip, okay? So I'm gonna put in a small lip. So each one is gonna be each little detail, okay? And you wanna put in this detail. There we are. Now, you're probably saying, well, that don't look really like much of anything. Not yet, because we haven't gone over the shading. All right, next, a little bit harder, okay? I want you to draw that in here. I'm actually gonna see if I can quickly draw these scissors. Oh my heavens. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give you another tip on how to draw. All right, so another way of drawing, by the way, if you're like, this is not working for me, is called invisible lines and invisible shapes. You're like, what is that? Okay, so something to think about is if you had to make almost like a skeleton in your object, what would those shapes and lines look like? Okay, so in here, I would have this line, I would have this circle, this line, this circle. You're like, what in the world is she drawing? This line, this oval, okay? that's what my invisible lines and shapes would be if I made this just like a skeleton, okay? So this is what I'm gonna show you how to do. I'm now, because I drew really light, gonna go back and put in almost like the skin on my drawing, okay? It's like da 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 da. Now I'm gonna erase some of the inside lines in here. Ooh, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna go put this one in. All right, then I need to put this. See how all of a sudden this is starting to develop? Now this one's a little bit skinnier. I should have made that a little bit thicker, but that's okay. You're like, dude, how did she do that? Listen, it's another way of drawing, okay? Now remember, don't draw it, draw light until you get it right. That's what I did. I kept drawing light, and then as I'm getting a little bit more confident in my lines, I drew a little bit darker, okay? Pretty good, right? Okay, if you have not drawn your two objects here, I need to do it right about now, okay? And then come back, pause the video and come back in a second, okay? Okay, so next on the bottom, all right? So we're gonna learn a little bit about what can pencil do, okay? By the way, you can do all of these techniques with color pencils as well, okay? So for some odd reason, if you wanted to do your still life, okay, in pencil, that's fine. Or you can do it in color pencil, which is fine, because you'll be able to still do all of these techniques same way, okay? So on the bottom, here we go. This is what you're gonna do. We're gonna divide this section into 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So we're gonna go in half. Another one here. Another one here. All right. Bottom 3, okay? We're gonna divide into thirds, okay? And the top one, I'm gonna have you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do that? Well, you know what? Divide into 6, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll just put some notes in there, okay? So the first one, we're gonna talk about texture and design. All right, so some of the things that when I'm looking around, okay, everything tends to have a texture. So you see how this ridge is here and how this curves in? That's kind of like a texture, okay? It's just those added little details, okay? This looks fuzzy. Well, when you're creating it, you want to give the impression that it's fuzzy, okay? Something else I have, don't ask me why I have this. On here, see the scales? Whoop, whoa, that's close, okay? Those are the scales. It makes it feel very scaly. These look like, long fins. The lines are there. Fuzzy, all right? How do we do that to make it look like it's on the paper? Great question. All right, it all depends on your pressure, okay, and how you apply your line. So the first one we're gonna kind of go through. We're gonna do thick and thin. So thick lines, nice bold lines, thin lines, obviously make them lighter, okay? You can use all different lines. I would highly suggest that you use, contrasting lines, thick and thin and all these kinds to make your drawings stand out. Up here, okay, I use some thick, bold lines among some light lines, okay? Gives it a nice, look to it. Next, sketchy, okay, and solid. Solid, sketchy. All right, like a solid line, a lot of times if you ever seen someone who just draws their lines perfect like this, okay, I call that almost like a solid line, all right? Sketchy is when people are like little lines and it makes little sketchy lines. Either one is fine, okay? Just be aware. If you do draw with a solid, bold line, first, what might happen, I'm going to show you. Reason I say draw light until you get it right, if you go back and try to erase it, see how there's I call it a ghost line, okay? You might want to make sure you're, draw light, because if you go back and try to erase, it ain't going to happen. So solid and sketch. This one, it's more along the lines of direction. So directions might be squiggles, it might be zigzags, it might be on a line, okay? Choose a direction, go on. You can do things, all lines in one direction. You can change them up to you. If you are very rigid, okay, you might find that your artwork may have more of a certain feel to it, where if you have a lot of flowy lines and soft lines, it's going to feel a different way, okay? This also works, by the way, with water, okay? So if you want something more fluid feeling, like water, or maybe something that feels like there's wind or something like that, that would be like that. Directions, maybe something sharp. If you were doing blades of grass, sharp ups and downs would give you that impression too, okay? Stippling. Okay, stippling are those dots, okay? And when you create stippling, you don't want to go up and down like you're banging the table, okay? For you not to hurt anything. This adds like a little bit of just, it feels like it's grainy, or it might be like sandy or something like that, okay? So stippling is a great texture or design that you might add somewhere. Last one. Okay, so this one's called like tapering off. Tapering, oops, off. Oh, I was gonna write out. No, off. Tapering off, okay? So this is when we have those dark, heavy to light. It's like a flick, okay? Where it's really wide here and then it goes up at the top, okay? So that's another way we can add texture to different drawings, okay? Now, don't forget that patterns work when you're adding texture and designs to our work as well, okay? All right, so let's talk about shading, all right? So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna divide these into 4 sections each. So the top one is gonna be more of a smooth texture that we're gonna do. Next one is hatching. Oops, my G's are kind of wonky, sorry. And cross hatching. All right, smooth. All right, here we go. What we're gonna be creating is called a value scale, okay? Value scales come in solid values, or it comes in as gradation, which is a dark to light. Value is a range of light to dark values, okay? So we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this a really solid, smooth value. Now I'm pressing pretty hard. I'm using the side of my pencil, just so you guys know, okay? You're probably noticing that I'm not using one of these. I love these pencils, okay? But the problem is, when you go and use them, okay, here, yeah, they get nice and dark, but if you're pressing too hard, they tend to break, okay? And you can really see the kind of like the scratchiness, okay? I want this. All right, so the next one, the next value down, use less pressure. And less, and mean lighter, and lightest. Okay, so what are these? Okay, so these are different values. They might kind of go along with the idea of, well, where's my light source? Well, my light source would be here in the lighter area, okay? And the shadows would be dark in the dark area, okay? Now hatching. If you were, let's say, wanted to add like a little texture, okay? You felt like, you know, you want to add a little bit more to the, you know, regular shading, you could do hatching. Hatching are solid lines going in one direction. And this is not the band or those boys wonder, I don't even know. Okay, let's get back to this. Sorry. More spaced out, less lines, lighter value. More spaced out, even lighter. More spaced out, okay? Cross hatching. Cross hatching is same as hatching, but they're kind of going different directions. So I'm gonna go one, and then I'm gonna cross it like this. Kind of like lattice, you know, like if you're looking at your backyard and you see like the fence, it might have some like lattice on it. So this one, a little bit more spaced out, more spaced out, really spaced out. Okay, so what would this look like here? All right, so we're gonna now do something called gradation. Gradation is my favorite thing in the world, okay? And I'm sure it will be yours as well, okay? So gradation, one thing I'm gonna let you know, tornadoes are not acceptable, okay? Why? Let me show you, okay? In shading, we want to make, or when we're blending from dark to light, okay, we want to kind of make it solid, not going smaller and smaller. So we're gonna take it wide, and we're just gonna fade it out, making sure there's no empty spaces all the way to the end. Pretty cool, right? Yep. All right, let's do this a couple of more times, okay? Woo, just throw my pencil, why won't I? Dark to light. Now, I'm gonna give you a little tip, okay? If you're finding that this is kind of a little bit hard, okay? You're like, this is not working, all right? What you can do, you have two options. You can take your finger and kind of blend it out. Now, by the way, if you choose to do color pencil with your project and you're trying to smooth it with your finger, it ain't gonna happen, okay? And I'm sorry. Unfortunately, let me see if I have a color pencil. I think I do. Hey, nope, that's black. I don't want to use black. That's gray. Dude, how's it possible that I have all these colors? Watch. When I do this, it will be smooth, okay? Watch. Do you see anything? I said dirty finger, not dirty finger. It doesn't blend. Sorry, but that's how it goes, okay? Another thing you could do is you could take a piece of paper, okay? Kind of like roll it up, all right? And you can kind of blur it. It does get a little bit dirty, but it's okay. It will definitely help move the graphite around, okay? Pushes it into some of these empty open spaces, all right? Just be aware that it will take off some of it, okay? All right, if you would like to practice this another time, okay, I would highly suggest you self-check yourself, okay? Self-check yourself? Yeah, sounds good. See if it's a smooth transition, okay? If it's not, if all of a sudden it's like this, you got like solid and then it goes whoop, all the way down, no, that's not cool. You gotta go in and I wanna see a nice, smooth transition, okay? Now, hatching, let's go over this. So hatching, when we're kind of doing it, it kind of goes out lighter and lighter, okay? As it gets closer and closer, it just gets a little bit more heavier, okay? This was a little trickier, okay? But it kind of looks nice when you're kind of going through, all right? Cross hatching. Ooh, see, this is my favorite, okay? When I'm adding in, okay, I love texture. I don't know what it is. That whole idea of texture is just like, woo, okay? Dark, light. Give it a go again. Kind of get excited on there, all right? And I kind of go over it. And you notice I'm like starting and then I get lighter. It's called like a layering effect. I add and then I kind of like draw it out. Ooh, that's fancy business, people, okay? We good? If we're not good, press pause, okay? And catch up, all right? Okay, here we go. Let's go back up to the top. Whoop. All right, I'm gonna switch my pencil because I have definitely, if you need to sharpen a pencil, go for it anytime. Okay, so I wanna talk about light, highlight, cast shadow, and core shadow. Okay, so we're gonna look at this ball right here, okay? I know it's not the best, but kind of imagine that this is a ball. You're like, not really. I know, it's okay. All right, so when the light is directed, okay, it's called light source. You ever get those moments where you just like, forgot? Light source. Okay, a light source might be a lamp. I have a lamp on. It might be the sun. It might be your phone. It could be anything, okay? One thing I'm gonna suggest is you get one direct light source for this, okay? Now I'm gonna show you a little mini still life that I'm gonna kind of set up, and I'm gonna explain why it's better to have one light source instead of like multiple, okay? So a light source, when we have our light source, it tends to be lighter over here. So we get the highlight. Good, just sneaking that in. Next, we're gonna have our shading. Now, we're gonna do some gradation on this, okay? So when we look, let me see. Can we see, woo, shadows? Oh, yes, you can. Look at that. That's awesome. See how it's lighter here? That is the highlight. This right here, the shadow on the object, okay, is the core shadow, okay? On my hand is called the cast shadow. One of those. Sounds good. Okay, so let's kind of create that so we kind of see. So let's go in and let's shade. Let's put our core shadow on. Now, curved areas tend to have shadows that curve with it. Okay, so this one's called the core shadow. This is the cast shadow. Ooh, that's muy beautiful. See? Yes. Okay, so that is cast shadow. Okay? Now, what I want you to do for the rest of this practice, okay, is I want you to put your core, your cast, and your highlight shadows on your objects you drew. You're like, no. Yes. Okay. This is what I'm going to suggest, okay? So I'm going to move my camera. Oh, here we go. It's gonna move. I'm going to show you. Sorry, totally just covered the whole thing. Wow. I'm going to go for a ride, everyone. Moving around because I've got all these wires everywhere. All right. I'm going to unplug this here. All right. Okay. Whoa! All right, you see the box that I've created right here? It's like awesome little box, okay? When you're drawing things, I would highly suggest that you try to get one direction, okay? So I'm gonna take my lamp and kind of put it there. See how I'm getting one direction in that shadow? That's what I want, okay? Because if I put it right here, okay, I'm getting one direction, which is perfect. But outside is kind of getting dark, okay? So I don't have a lot of light coming this side. So when I'm looking at it, I can see my direction of my shadows. If you find that you're doing this during the day, which you might be, find a dark box, okay? Something that will give you a little bit more darkness. Go into a darker room, okay? Get your light out. Now, that's my outside, okay? That's what it looks like. All my timers, okay? And you're gonna go in. Now, I'm gonna put you guys back up. Whoa, that was a fun field trip, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, here, all right? When we're shading, a lot of times people are like, well, I don't see any shadows. Do me a favor, I want you to squint. something like it's so bright out, you're like, I'm gonna feel like a really old lady and squint, okay? Your shadows will pop out, okay? Even if it's not a lot, notice the different colors of the things. So for example, if I look here, if I squint, okay, I can see that there's a little bit of darkness here. I see the cast shadow on the table here. I see some core very lightly around the edge, okay? A lot of the time, this stuff works, shading works and works well when you show contrast. Contrast is light next to dark. So, for example, I can kind of see that there's a little bit of core shadow on the side right here, and it's light at the top. Okay, and then we have a little bit of the cast shadow underneath. Okay. There we are. Now it will start popping once we put those contrasts next to each other. So see how all of a sudden this looks like it's starting to pop out? Okay. Let's see, make sure you can see it. Oh, yes, you can. All right. Finish up your two objects, shading them, okay, with your, make sure you got some highlights in there, you got your core shadows, you have your cast shadows. Make sure that you finish up here. You're probably asking, like, what would be cross-hatching and hatching? Well, sometimes, that's where I'll bring in my mechanical pencils, and I might put in some texture, and I might put in some cross-hatching, just to layer up a little bit. Okay, it's just like it's an added detail, almost like on my it says Westcott. Okay, I might say, you know what, I want to put those details in here. If I feel like maybe, where's my fuzzy dice? Here. If I wanted to put some fuzziness in, maybe I might do some fuzzy little lines, or I can see some lines in here because it's a weird fabric. I could put some lines in here to add into my shading. Okay, so that's what that is. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, when you're done, make sure that you please submit this, okay? And please check out, I've posted what I'm looking for, your project, okay? When you are setting up a still life, couple little tips, okay? I'm gonna flip over this page so you guys can tell. There are gonna be a certain number of objects that you're gonna do. When you're drawing your picture, you can choose to do it landscape or portrait, okay? So if portrait is up and down, landscape side to side. When you're doing your objects, I would highly suggest that you draw your largest item first, okay? Lightly, okay? Then look at where other things are. So let's say I was drawing this. Well, it's kind of a wild still life, okay? There we go. We'll say I'm drawing this with the paper, okay? I would probably put in my pencils, maybe, or my, maybe the scissors, okay? And it's, by the way, okay if you go off the page. If you start drawing something and you're like, oh, here, and then I got, oh, well, that went off the page. It's okay. Then I got here, and then I have my glue stick, and it went off the page. Listen, I'd like it when it goes off the page. Don't cram it in, okay? Life was not meant to be crammed, okay? Let it, as Elsa says, let it go. Let it go off the page, okay? If it was meant to go off the page, go for it. If it was meant to kind of stop before the edge, go for it, okay? When you're doing it, please make sure to, start light, then go dark. Make sure you add your shadows, okay? You are allowed to do it in color. Just make sure that you are doing all your different, let's turn it over. If it's got a solid value, then it should be a solid value, okay? If it's not, put it as gradation. For anyone who is like not confident with color pencils, okay, I'm gonna give you a sneaky tip. Take a picture of your still life, turn it to black and white, and voila, it is in black and white, okay? Little, like technical, digital tip that you can do, okay? And make sure that you guys hand it in by the end of the week, okay? All right, if you have any questions, don't forget you can reach out to me and just ask me a question, all right? Okay, good job, guys.